welcome to another episode of the Proud Skill Worker. Today we have an opportunity to interview Derius Conway, who's currently in Junction City, Kansas. Whoa, that's a hard state, huh? Darius, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been difficult for us to get people on the show because people get uncomfortable when they talk on camera. So I'm going to kick this right into you because I know you and I just spent a little time in the lobby talking. What were your thoughts coming onto the podcast, and then how do you feel now that we're rolling it? I mean, we're 30 seconds in, but what do you think? What do you think this is going to be like?
I think it's gonna be interesting. I haven't really done a podcast before, so this is my first time doing one. So I'm a little nervous, but after being in the lobby, for a little minute, I'm comfortable now, real comfortable.
I love it. I love it. So, Darius, first thing I like to do is I like to jump in and go and ask people, how'd you get into the trades? How did you end up getting into being a maintenance technician like you are today?
Well, it actually started out as a school thing. I went to school for mechanical engineering, but I ended up changing to industrial technology because I like to work with my hands. I like to actually get out in the field and work. I can't sit behind the desk. I can, but I really, really do not like it. I like to actually be on the floor, working, get my hands dirty, and understanding how equipment works.
Oh, that's great. What school were you going to that you were able to make that switch from mechanical engineering into the industrial maintenance side?
I went to Mississippi State University.
Okay. Really sorry about their football program, but we'll talk about something
Hey,
different.
look, I can't do nothing about that. Their programs are pretty good though on the education.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing but great things about the educational institution of that school. I'm just giving you a hard time for their football team.
I
um, so as you made that transition from kind of the engineering side into the hands-on maintenance side, what have been some of the biggest challenges in your career that you've come across?
just really understanding what I'm working on and what I'm looking at, because I've learned sometimes that you don't have to really think big when something goes down. You can think small, and the simplest thing you see could actually fix it. Like for instance, if I'm at work, like where I work at now, we have vacuum leaks all the time. You can actually have a hose clamp that's loose. They can cause a vacuum leak. I'm serious. I'm so serious. It's simple stuff. Or you can just need to replace something in the machine to make it run better. That's it. Or just change a little oil.
I like when I was in the Marine Corps, we used the KISS troubleshooting model. It's that keep it simple. I don't remember
Simple.
the last word. Yeah, I don't remember the last word, but your career path that kind of led you to where you are today. I mean, where were you? What have you done? Where have you grown those skills as you've come through your career?
After I graduated from school, I started a job as a machinist. And I did like it for a little bit, but then it got boring because I was doing the same thing. I was sitting in the cell just making parts. I mean, it was fine, but I didn't really like it. So I ended up going back home and taking a job as a maintenance technician in a small furniture plant. And I liked that. I mean, I like the people I work with. I like the fact that it was always something different and that I was steady learning the equipment. And then I got to the point where I realized I wasn't half bad at this. I could troubleshoot equipment. I could figure out what's going on. And not only that, it's not too much I can't take apart and put back together if I'm given enough time. And then when I left there, I went to another plant, another furniture plant, but it was a lot smaller, and the equipment it was almost similar. But the thing that made it good for me is that all the equipment across the board was the same. So it wasn't like I had to learn 5, 6 different machines or more. I only had to learn one, and it'll be one model, which would be the old model or the newest model they got, and it wasn't too much different.
That leads me to an interesting question that I'm always curious of is, so you were in furniture manufacturing and now you mentioned you're in food manufacturing. Stepping into those two different environments, do the skills transfer or is it a complete start over from your skill set? Or do the machines just look different?
Honestly, the machines just look different. Once you grasp what the machines do, you understand what each part of the machine is doing, that's where, everything starts to relate. It's not hard to understand, the machines. It's just you got to take your time to understand what's going on, what function they're doing. And far as it go from like transitioning, it was a little rough because I had to sit there and understand the equipment. But after that, that was fine. Like now, it doesn't bother me to go work on to work on anything. I can go to the floor. It might take me a minute because I haven't seen it, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I think it's fun for me because I talk to people across all different industries, and everybody said the same thing. A conveyor is a conveyor. It doesn't matter what it's moving. A motor is a motor. It doesn't matter where it's sitting. So I like to ask like industry transferable skills because there's some people who are like, no, it doesn't transfer. And I'm like, how does it not? I feel like it's all the same, just in a different industry. You got to familiarize yourself, but at the end of the day, it has to all be the same, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's not hard to understand. You just got to take your time and be patient with yourself. Like, if you're going to jump in, jump in. Don't be afraid to get dirty, but also understand that you don't know everything, that you don't
Right.
know this equipment. So take your time and learn. But yeah, most of it does go hand in hand. I mean, like you just said, a motor's a motor.
So, how many years do you have, Darius, in the industry? I mean, in maintenance uh, altogether?
Really like two. Like I went to
Two.
school. I went to school, and after that, I just started working. And I've been doing this, and I've been enjoying it.
In your 2 years, have you seen any trends that you either were surprised about or that you saw coming and you were surprised no one did anything about? So, like something that when you first started, you were like, "Oh, this is definitely coming," and it's now happened, or something that you didn't see coming inside the maintenance world.
One thing I seen coming is it's depending on where you at, it's a shortage of maintenance people actually. Like I know at the facility I'm at, it's hard for them to get maintenance technicians in. Like some of the staffs they're full, and then some of them they're not. Like in different areas, they're not staffed well at all. They're understaffed. They might have enough to get by, but not everyone that they need.
Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think? What's the downturn in the availability of maintenance technicians?
Sometimes it be the long hours that they have to put in, and then too that I know where I'm at. The maintenance technicians here give up their weekends. Most people like to have their weekends off, to be with their family. So I think that plays a part too. Because I know I've seen quite a few guys actually leave this job to take something less or either something better because of how they had to work to either, stay afloat or because they're working too much and can't spend time with their family.
Yeah, I think having that work life balance and being able to prioritize your family, but also be dedicated to your work and be dedicated to who you're called to be. I think it's a delicate balance that everybody in life has to manage. I get that. What's a skill or a trait that you think, as a whole, not just at your facility or anywhere across the country? I'm not trying to pick on anybody. What's a skill or trait do you think maintenance individuals are lacking nowadays?
That's a hard one for me. And that's it because of everybody I've worked with. When it
Hmm.
comes to everybody I work with, they've been pretty good at it. And I think that's because they have a lot of experience at their job. And it's not that they just worked at this facility, it's because they had a variety of places that they worked at. And they all say the same thing. It's all the same. You just got to take your time and understand it. So when it comes to a trait, I think the only trait that a maintenance technician really needs is just time and experience. Because if you give somebody enough time and experience, they'll learn what they're doing. Things do repeat themselves. But once they repeat, you might find a better way to fix it so it doesn't repeat. So that's how I look at it. Patience and time is the thing that I feel like a maintenance technician doesn't have that they need. And it just, like I said, it takes patience and time. Simple as that.
What are some practical tips that you're using, or some tricks maybe that you've used to help you grow in your patience and definitely in like? So I think time is a hard one, but like in your
Mm.
patience and your time in industry, just sticking to it. Because I think what you see a lot is people go, "Man, I'm frustrated, I'm burnt out, I'm leaving." Well, things aren't going to get any better if you leave every time things get a little hard. So what are some tips and tricks you have for people who are really struggling with their patience, which is leading them to leave and to not put in the time and to not grow?
I try to look at, the pros to everything. I do look at the bad, but if the pros outweigh the bad, then I'm gonna stick it out and I'm gonna just go through it because it's not always gonna be bad. I know most of the time, everything that's bad, you got to go through something bad to get to the good, and once you get to the good, it get great because you start to appreciate it. That's why I say that. And when you get to the point where you appreciate it, everything else is easy. So you learn how to keep pushing forward. And that's what I do. I keep pushing forward because I know at the end it's gonna be all right and it's gonna get better.
That's great. I think that's an important thing you just mentioned is you got to push through those rough seasons to get to the good seasons to get to the great seasons. Is people don't just generally show up and things are great. That's not really how it works.
So you got a few that get lucky.
That's right. Darius, it sounds to me like, I mean, you're patient, you're putting in time, you're growing yourself. You made a tactical decision to pivot out of mechanical engineering and industrial maintenance because you knew you wanted to use your hands. What's your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What is it that when you're in your early 30s, we'll call it, that you want to be doing in life?
I could either be doing the same thing I'm doing now, or I could gravitate more towards the robotics or animations. Because I really do like robots. I can't lie. I do love robots and anime. It's a different branch.
Hmm. Talk to me a little bit about your exposure to that because I feel like robotics and automation are just taking over all of manufacturing right now. And it's got to be so cool to just see and be a part of those new lines. So let's talk about that for a second.
All right, so like my first job, they had a robot in a cell, and all it did was weld. It literally welded a tank that nobody else wanted to weld. Like they got rid of the people that they was using to weld for a robot because the robot didn't take breaks. It didn't have to go. I'm being. They looked at it like it was cost efficient. I mean,
Yeah.
it is. It doesn't take breaks. It doesn't have to go to the bathroom. It doesn't need food. All it has to do is be supplied. Supplied the material. It could literally get the part, be scanned, be set up, welded. It will flip it, turn it, and all. So I mean, if people I know people want to work, but at the same time they don't want to work. That's what a lot of companies are looking to. Like they're looking at a way to get rid of people that don't want to work. Oh, you don't want to work? I could put a conveyor in or a robot that picks up this box and put it here. I mean, that's what a lot of people looking at. But at the same time, you got to have people to build the robots.
Yes, you do. I think build the robots and then maintain them and understand. So the nice part about basic mechanical lines is fairly simple. There's not a lot of layers into that. But when you get
Um,
into electrical lines and robotics, you got to find someone who can troubleshoot a PLC, who knows how to play with a photo eye sensor, who understands the weight on these robots. And oh, why is the robot welding wrong? Now you have an upskill set that you have to use. So really curious to see or hear what your plan is for getting into that. It's just not. It doesn't feel like something you stumble into.
no, it's something I want to do, but I want to get into like an entry level, so I can learn, and it's not so fast paced. But at the same time, it might get fast paced, so I have to learn on the fly. But I've been, waiting, trying to figure out where the industry is gonna go because I still don't know. I mean, I hear a lot of companies talk about it. I read up on a lot of companies talking about going to automation, but it's still gonna be hard to do because that's a lot of money they got to put into their sales. And nowadays, most companies don't want to do that. They look at it like, how can I make more money with my equipment being half decent instead of it being 100%?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I hear and read in the industries is even if they did want to update, even if they did want to fully automate, they don't have the
Mm,
technicians at that level to maintain it. So people go,
no,
"Hey, I'll install the line, but how? Like, I don't have anybody who can install it. I don't have anybody who can program it, anybody who can maintain it." So it's this double-edged sword of we want it, but we can't maintain it, and we're producing on what we have, so we might as well stay where we are. It's this a balance.
I mean, I don't think it'll ever change. It'll be years before it changes.
It is trending that way, though. It does feel like is to your point. If companies more and
Yeah,
more see like I could put in a welding robot that doesn't need brakes. As you said.
Hey, that company did. They did it. They got a few, but hey, they got things that they like to make perfect, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Last part of the show for us, Darius, is I like to open the floor to you, give you as much time as you want. What's one thing if you would say to the industry as a whole, if I gave you a pedestal to stand on and yell at everybody in the maintenance industry, hey, here's the one life lesson I wish all of you knew. What is that?
To be kind to their employees. That's one thing I would tell them. Because, I mean, no matter how high up you are in the company, the people under you are the ones that really make your money and run the company. That's what I would tell them, to be kind to their employees.
I love it. I love it. I think I'm going to add a little bit to that because I think this is crucial too, is it's not just up and down. I think you need to just be kind. I mean,
in general,
the impact, Darius, you can have on the people who work on your crew, the people who I have who work in the office with me by just being nice is exponential. It's not, it doesn't always have to be, you know, your manager coming and being nice to you. You could be nice to the people around you and people will go, that's a nice guy, I like him. And I'll work harder with him. As opposed to, I don't really like that person, I don't want to be on that crew with them. That's human nature. Yeah. So I like that. I love the message of just be kind. It's a very simple message. I think it resonates at any level, any role, anything you're doing in life. I think that those two words could pretty much sum up how to get through life, and you'll go a long way by just being kind.
Yeah, you really will. It makes you feel good too.
It does make you feel good to see somebody like be happy and smile. You're like, yeah, I like that. I like the way that person feels right now. That's nice. All right, Darius, thank you so much. And a huge thank you to our guests, to all of you who are watching, whether it be on YouTube or Spotify or any of your podcast platforms. Please reach out if you want to be a guest on the show. Like Darius mentioned at the top, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but this is incredibly fun to do. It's valuable. We have people who watch weekly who reach out and tell us the impact that it's having. Feel free to reply or comment. And again, thank you, Darius, for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful day.